Good morning. Yours truly, Dolphy Gilpin, once again coming to you from Decatur, Georgia, United States of America, at 1524 La Vista Drive. And this morning I'm on a brief review of thrombocythemia or thrombocytosis, which is a hematologic disorder. And we are supporting our brief review this morning, our OMAX microscope, which is able to do a lot of microscopic analysis. It's a very powerful microscope that can do efficient microscopic work for these cases, cases of hematologic disorder. And also, we'll be focused on in this brief review the case known of our amazing 5x12 matrix, of which yours truly is the founder, AMZ5X12M, amazing 5x12 matrix, and its implicit pharmaceutical configuration application. It's implicit in that purposefully we have not revealed the details of the dosage regime and even sometimes the name of the pharmacological or the pharmacochemical substance that is used in the treatment of these malignancies in the various field of medicine, in all parts of the body. So we are on thrombocythemia or thrombocytosis, and we says that it is further separated into two classes. We have primary thrombocythemia, or otherwise called essential thrombocythemia, and it's accounts for 3% to 12% of the thrombocythemia or thrombocytosis. Then we have secondary thrombocythemia, otherwise called reactive thrombocythemia, which accounts for 88 to 97% of the thrombocythemia. But before we get to the thrombocythemia, which is an elevation in the platelets count, an elevation in the platelets count, we must define normality. And we say for normal platelets count, we have 150,000 to 450,000 per cubic millimeter of blood, also called microliter, or in another unit, it will be 150,000 to 450,000 multiplied by 10 to the minus 9 per liter of blood. So this would be the normal range. And furthermore, we note that for adults or pediatric and neonatal cases, these normal and abnormal cases of blood counts, whether for RBC, WBC, and platelets, will be different for these differentiable, for pediatric case or neonatal case or for adults. Normality and abnormality is also different in the case of male and female. For certain for the red blood cell and white blood cell, for male and female, you will find that the counts are different for normal and abnormal counts. So continuing with our thrombocythemia or thrombocytosis, we know that over 75,000 cubic millimeter to 1 million cubic milliliter, we say that this case is now serious and requires no medical intervention. This will be getting into some serious case of thrombocythemia, thrombocytosis, and this requires medical intervention for these forms. Now, in the case of secondary thrombocythemia or reactive thrombocythemia, polycythemia vera, the secondary reactive thrombocythemia is indicative of polycythemia vera, and also an increase now in the thrombopoietin, which leads to thrombosis. This is also characteristic of the secondary thrombocythemia or thrombocytosis. The primary or essential thrombocythemia is indicative now of a myeloproliferative disease. And as we have said, it accounts for 3 to 12% of all the thrombocythemia or thrombocytosis. Now, not in all cases of platelets elevation, clinical intervention is necessary. For in certain cases of elevation for inflammation and for infection, we know that clinical intervention is not necessary, but that this is a normal response to a certain acid phase reaction in the body. Yes, the body is damaged or tissues damaged, and the platelets are due to plug the wounds, and also circulation, blood circulation, and the body normal response is to increase the thrombopoietin, which increase the amount of thrombocyte, which in effect increase the platelets count. Another cause for platelet elevation is also a cause of man-made criteria here, like in the count for the automated machine, when that is used to count the number of platelets, we know that this ATM machine cannot differentiate between certain microcomponents and the platelets. So it counts these microcomponents such as certain type of leukemic cells, certain type of bacteria, certain types of erythrocyte as platelets. It's not able to differentiate between the platelets and these other microcomponents, and it counts them, and therefore a false positive elevation of the platelets count occurs. And so this is another cause of platelet elevation. But this can be avoided now by taking a peripheral blood smear. We have no thrombocytopenia, which is a contrast or sometimes the opposite of thrombocythemia or thrombocytosis, or where this is now a decrease in the platelets count, and that too is characteristic abnormality and its differentiated treatment. But note that in all cases of malignancies or wherever pharmacochemical application are applied, that are amazing 5x12 matrix discovered by your student, or amazing 5x12 matrix in its implicit pharmaceutical configuration application mode is able to assist in the the choice of a prescription drug and also the numerical quantity prescribed. But I call it the implicit pharmaceutical configuration because purposefully I have not revealed or expanded on this aspect of it, the AMZ5X12 matrix implicit pharmaceutical configuration application. But it is indicative of all the pharmaceutical or pharmacochemical application or drug regime for treatments to malignancies and other disease in the body in all the various fields of medicine. But like I said, it's implicit because I've not revealed, I've purposefully not revealed the outcome of this AMZ5X12MIPCA. Well, now we know that anagrelide, and for example, I'm just going to briefly just throw in a little into you now. We could suppose if we say anagrelide is abbreviated now ANA. And suppose if we assign some certain numbers to it, 05, say 7, 6, 3, 2, 1, random, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And notice that it is almost in the form of our 5 cross 12. And this would take on now the end, which is the mid of this, as an isolated case. And this would be our 5 cross 12. This numerical part would be, the decimal point will be placed in by inspection. And this numerical part would be like the magnitude of, or the volumetric or mass of the chemical in the dosage regime. And this would represent the anagrelide. But that's just a brief hint on what is happening here. But I've said it is implicit because I've not revealed the total revelation on this amazing 5 cross 12 matrix in this implicit pharmaceutical consideration application. So once again, this is a brief review of our thrombocythemia or thrombocytosis. We'll next try to elaborate or expand on thrombocytopenia and other hematologic disorder. And then we move on to other fields of medicine, not only in hematology, but in other fields. And I can randomly say ophthalmology, endocrinology, cardiology, gastroenterology, infectious disease, epidemiology, or in all these cases whereby or AMZ5X12M which is now implicit pharmaceutical application